Hi friends, Maggie Marr here, founder of Maggie Marr Legal PC, an entertainment law firm dedicated to the needs of creators. I'm also a USA Today best-selling author, and I've written over 20 books. I am discussing right now my first nonfiction book, which is Books to Film and TV, What Every Author Needs to Know. You may already know that I'm going through chapter by chapter and reading the individual chapters and providing a little bit of additional commentary about what is in that chapter. My hope is that this will be an additional resource that you can utilize when you read paperback, ebook, or listen to the audiobook, or if you just want to listen to the chapter by chapter breakdown that I provide here at YouTube, that would be great as well. This also gives you an opportunity to put questions below that you might have about the chapter that I'm going over, as well as any other questions that you might have about other chapters about the books to film and TV process. So this video is specifically about chapter 3. So we're on chapter 3. I'm going to read it and I'll provide commentary as I go along. Chapter 3, Myth versus Reality. So once upon a time, there was an author named Tanya. Tanya wrote a brilliant book. The book sold millions of copies. Hollywood executives called Tanya, or was it Tanya's representative? All of the executives offered Tanya's rep millions of dollars for Tanya's brilliant book. There was a bidding war for the film and TV rights for the book. Tanya's rep was able to negotiate gross points for Tanya, as well as the ability to write the screenplay. Tanya wrote a brilliant screenplay too. The movie was shot with Chloe Zhao directing and Scarlett Johansson and Idris Elba starring. Not only was the film a spectacular box office success, but the film won an Oscar for Best Feature Film, and Tanya also won an Oscar for Best Adaptation. Tanya took her golden statuette, her mini bags of gross profit participation money, and now lives on Lake Como, cruising her days away, sipping a fantastic Chardonnay on a yacht with Samuel Jackson and Lewis Hamilton and Frances McDormand. The end. I present to you the dream, the myth, the Outlier Event that we can all fantasize about happening to us as authors. Could the above scenario happen? Absolutely. After 21 years in the industry, I would never say never. Is the above scenario likely? The reality that I've seen and experienced as an author, an agent, and an entertainment attorney is substantially different. Even J.K. Rowling received buckets of passes in town. Christopher Columbus could not find a buyer for the film and TV rights for Harry Potter until he did. First, however, he went through pass after pass after pass. Look how that turned out. The reality is that books are optioned into film and TV in somewhat typical ways, each of which has a myriad of inciting incidents and plot twists along the journey. There are 3 ways, in my experience, in which most underlying intellectual property gets discovered. I've labeled them. Number 1, the organic discovery. Number 2, the submission. Number 3, the outlier event. Before we drill down into the primary details of each of these 3 paths, I provided an overview of the structure of the town, aka Hollywood. If you feel as though you already understand the ins and outs of Hollywood, then feel free to skip to chapter 5. Okay, so chapter 3 is where I have created labels about how it's the 3 most likely ways that I've discovered after 20 years that books move into the film and TV space. And when I say books, it can also be articles, games, graphic novels, any underlying intellectual property that gets moved into, that wasn't originally created for film and TV, that gets moved into film and TV. These are the typical ways that it happens. So and I'm going to drill down into each way within its own chapter so that it can be more specific, right? But really quickly, I want to talk about them. So the organic discovery, there are hundreds of executives in town that are looking for material every day, day in and day out. So that's an organic discovery event. The submission. There are hundreds of agents and managers and literary representatives who are consistently and constantly having phone calls and conversations with buyers, which are executives, and submitting different articles, books, games, any type of underlying intellectual property to a buyer to see if it fits their needs for their slate in film and TV. So that's the submission process, and I drill down into that deeper in that chapter. And then the Outlier Event. And the Outlier Event, I have to say, it's the sexiest of them all. It's like that lightning strike where somebody says, I sat down on a plane next to name your favorite movie star there. We started a conversation. They want to read my book, and then they call and say that they want to make it. Those things happen. They absolutely do happen. And I have to say, I think as a fellow writer, because the plot points of that and the thrill of the Outlier Event is so sexy and it sounds so much like a book, we love it. We love it so much, the Outlier Event. But it's an Outlier Event because that's not how the majority of underlying intellectual property books get moved into the film and TV space. It's more likely that your book, it will be either an organic discovery or the submission process will move your book into the film and TV space. So that was chapter 3, which gives an overview as to the myth versus the reality of what takes place. And if you have questions about chapter 3, please drop them below and I will address those questions as they pop up. Also, you can always reach out at hello@maggiemarlegal.com. We'll also put links below to the audiobook, the paperback book, and the ebook of Books to Film and TV, What Every Author Needs to Know. And below we have a link to my newsletter, and we have a link to the waitlist for our upcoming course, Books to Film and TV. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Also, if you've gotten some information out of this video, please hit the like button. And if you would subscribe, that way you'll know every time we pop up a new video on YouTube. Thank you so much and have a great day.